This is what I hear today. Dove song, bulbuls greeting dawn and the master of rotation. Darkness yielding to the sun. Sons of Adam, daughters of Eve. Stepping into community, finding the rhythm of tasks today. Thrumming hum of motors, servant to their drivers or their riders, moving out. Rustling of a careful breeze, shaking hands with mango leaves and the stalks of ripening corn. The voice that whispers wordlessly, but hugs the contours of my soul to tell me, yes, that I am his. I wrote that poem while I was sitting in my yard in Ferkesi-Dougou, Côte d'Ivoire. Let me tell you how it came to be. Have you ever found yourself longing to know what the Lord might be saying to you personally? I have. I became desperate to do so during my life of ministry in Côte d'Ivoire, West Africa. All the challenges led me to concentrate on much prayer, but I realized I was just blabbing a lot, asking the Lord for help, interceding with others. I wasn't letting him answer me back. So I wondered, is it possible to hear his voice in other ways than what I've assumed? I found out that certain spiritual disciplines could teach me how to do that. Now, I'm sharing that story in a book that is the collection of some of the poetry I wrote during the past 20 years. It's called When He Whispers, Learning to Listen on the Journey. For 40 years, my husband and I were working among the Nyarafolo people. I was doing linguistic analysis of this previously unwritten language and then working in Bible translation as an editor and exegete. So I needed to study the original texts in Greek and Hebrew and explain their message to my co-translator. Then I also checked the writing and translation that others in the team did. So I would come home with words and ideas buzzing through my thoughts, even my dreams. I had been fascinated with words and languages since I was a child. I had always been a writer, and now I felt that the words were overwhelming me. So I read several books on spiritual formation, and they helped me realize that listening to the Lord was actually a spiritual discipline that had been practiced for ages, and two other disciplines would open the way to learning to listen. The practices of solitude and silence. But how was I going to find those in my busy life? One key value of the local culture was also community, which was great, but it meant that we were rarely alone, even at night. There was a space outside my bedroom window where golden rain trees grew, and I decided that would become my sacred grove, a place to practice these disciplines most Saturday mornings. I warned my family and friends that I needed to be protected from interruptions between 6 and 9 a.m. I'm an early bird, so rising with the sun was a natural thing for me. As I sat there in the quiet, I found it took at least an hour for my roiling thoughts to begin to settle. Then I was able to become silent. I had a pen and a small notebook in my hand, and when themes from scripture that I had been studying at work or privately would swirl in, or something in nature all around, or a special concern, I would write them down. And most often, unexpected poetic lines would flow from my pen, and I would realize the Lord was underlining certain messages for me. This collection in When He Whispers is a kind of picture of my learning curve. It includes praise, lament, contemplation, scripture application to my life, lots of prayers. I hope and pray that it will be a blessing to readers and encourage us on this wonderful journey with the one who whispers to us, each of us hearing him in the way he made us to do so. Poetry is the way that I find things that the Lord is saying to me in my inner being come out on paper. I was always pretty startled when I would start writing because I had an idea, I had a theme that had come to me, but I didn't know it was going to come out the way that it did. And that's why I say each of us has a way the Lord speaks to us. Most of my friends say it it's not poetry. It's when they're reading the Word, when they're looking at nature, whatever it is. All those things can influence me, but it's when I put it on paper with my pen that it is real. The other thing that influenced me greatly was the fact that I was in Bible translation, and many of the scriptural words had never been heard in the Nyarlathotha language before. They even had to figure out a word for love by adding a suffix onto a verb. And then we came to that word that is my favorite in Hebrew scriptures now, chesed. It's a word that if you look at any English version, they translate it their own way. Unending love, unfailing love, faithful love, loyal love. We don't have any words that can express the depth of it. We finally found a way to do it in Nyarlathotha that says love without end. Bangwo denige. And as a result, a poem came out that's in this book. It's called One Sure Thing, because his love, chesed, is the one sure thing we can always rely on. Let me just read two of the stanzas in this long poem. Unfailing love, chesed, the Hebrews said. This is what we long for all our lives, and this is who you are. We cannot shatter, disillusion, wear away your tenderness. You are love with no beginning and no ending, always potent, always steady, always ready to receive the bull-headed son or daughter who returns and finds in you where the source of meaning is. It impacted me a lot, putting those two things together. It has been such a joy to write the poetry that is in this book. Working on it through the years, listening in the presence of the Lord with my pen in my hand. My hope is that anyone who longs to know Him better, longs to hear His voice, will be as blessed by this poetry as I was in writing it.